Welcome to Learner's Planet students. Students, in the previous session about components of food, we discussed about the major food groups, and that were proteins, vitamins and minerals. So this is session 3, in which we will discuss about another food group, the major food group called as fibers or dietary fibers. And also we will discuss about water and balanced diet. Alright, so let's start with this session. Yes, so first of all we'll discuss about dietary fibers. So what is actually meant by dietary fiber? Students, dietary fiber is also called as roughage. But what is roughage? As we discussed in many previous sessions in the previous grades, that roughage is the indigestible portion of plant foods. Means they cannot be digested by our body. That means dietary fibers do not provide us with any nutrient and it cannot be digested by our body. That is why it is also termed as indigestible portion of plant foods. So mainly it includes the plant foods which we cannot digest. So students, there is an important information given over here that an adequate intake of dietary fiber is about 18 grams a day. However, anything up to 30 to 35 grams is recommended by experts, by the doctors, right? So mainly we can say that dietary fiber or roughage, which is an indigestible portion of plant foods, is essentially a carbohydrate. That means we can say that it is a part of plant food, right? Because most of the plant food contains carbohydrate and it is found solely in plants. Alright. So this is the introduction about dietary fibers. Students, we can say that though dietary fibers are not digested or they cannot be digested by our body, then also they form an important part of our diet, right? Like as fibers add bulk to our food and it also keeps the digestive system healthy and it functions properly. Like dietary fiber helps and speeds up the excretion of waste products from our body and preventing them from sitting in intestine or bowel for too long period, which could cause build-up and leads to several disorders. So it prevents us from the several disorders which can happen, right? So we saw that we should consume or we should intake, the intake of fiber should be 18 grams a day, right? So it actually forms a very important part of our diet. So students, foods with fiber are really good for our bowels. Bowels means it is an important body function. Bowel is an important body function which is actually very important for us. It is also called as the large intestine. They are the lower parts of our digestive system. So moving our bowels means to poop, right? And it is very good for us. It is a type of defecation, right? So foods with fiber are very good for our bowels, for our digestive system, because fiber is found in plants and it cannot be digested. So it helps to clean out the intestines, our intestines, by moving bowel movements. Okay, so it's important to eat fiber. So try some bran instead of having chocolate. So another way to eat fiber is to eat more brown rice, fruits and oatmeal, and even fibers can be good for us and delicious too, even more delicious than having chocolate, right? So the fibers that we eat are known as dietary fibers, or we also call it as roughage, right? So now let's see into how many main types our dietary fibers are divided. Yes, first of all we'll see that dietary fiber comes from the portion of plants, right, that is not digested by the enzymes which are present in the intestine, right? So in our intestine, the large intestine, the such enzymes are present which cannot digest some portion of the plants, right? And that is why we can say that such portion comes from the dietary fiber, that forms dietary fiber, right? So there are mainly two types of fibers. First is soluble fibers and insoluble fibers. So we'll study about both of them in detail. Right. So students, different types of plants vary in their amount and the kind of fiber, and that is why they are divided into two parts. Right. So soluble and insoluble means they are the fibers that our bodies need to be in a very healthy condition. So let's start with the first one. The first type of fiber is soluble fibers. Right. So these fibers are soluble in water, and that is why they are termed as soluble fibers. Means they get dissolved in water. They get mixed totally in water. Right. So they are mainly found in all the fruits and vegetables. But there are some other rich sources, even more than fruits and vegetables, like oats, legumes, apples, citrus, barley, pears, strawberries. So all these components of food are very rich sources which form the soluble fibers, right? So soluble fibers mainly increases the sense of fullness in us, in our body. Means if we will consume it, we will feel like our hunger is satisfied. Right. So mainly, why should we include soluble fibers in our diet? We should include because it will decrease the blood sugar in diabetics, the person who are suffering from the disorder diabetes, and it also lowers the cholesterol levels. Right. So this special quality of soluble fiber is very much important when we are trying to reduce the amount of food that we eat to maintain a very healthy weight, right? So it is very much useful to us, right? And as we know that it is very much important for diabetics also, and also for the cholesterol persons, right? The persons who are having high cholesterol level. Alright. So soluble fibers are also helpful in blood circulation, right? So it is helpful to us in many ways. So we should include it in our diet. Right? Let's move on to the other type of fiber called as insoluble fibers. Yes. So why they are termed as insoluble fibers? Very simple, students. These fibers are insoluble in water. They cannot dissolve in water, and that is why they are termed as insoluble. And mainly they are found in beans, brown rice, fruits with edible seeds, means with eatable seeds, then lentils, the leguminous plants, then maize, oats, pulses, wheat bran, the outer covering of the wheat, right? And then cereals, whole wheat flour. There are other components of food also, like whole grain breads, whole meal breads and cereals, and even whole wheat flour, right? So these are some of the components of food and the very rich sources of the insoluble fibers, right? So why should we include insoluble fibers in our diet? Yes, insoluble fibers speeds up the intestinal transfer time, and therefore it helps the people who suffer from constipation. Alright, so we can say that these fibers are not soluble, but insoluble fiber has another special quality which plays an important role in maintaining healthy colon. Right? Healthy colon means colon is the last part of the digestive system in most of the vertebrates, even in us. Right? Because we are also considered, or we are also grouped under vertebrates. Right? So insoluble fiber, because of the insoluble fibers maintains our healthy colon, it speeds up the intestinal transfer time. Means it will transfer the food substances which are present in the intestine, and therefore it will help the people who suffer from the constipation. Means it helps our bowel to pass food by making stools soft and very bulky, and this type of fiber helps to prevent constipation, because lack of insoluble fiber in the diet causes the stools to become very hard and difficult to pass. Right? So if we will consume insoluble fibers, what it will do, as we discussed about the bowel movements, right? It is a type of very important body function. So because of these bowel movements, these movements will help to pass the food by making our stools very soft and bulky, and that is why we will be able to excrete all such stools in the form of urine or in the form of feces, right? So I hope you are clear with this. I hope you are clear with the intestinal transfer time and the constipation, right? So in short, we can say that fibers, whether insoluble or soluble, is an important component of a healthy, balanced diet, right? We get fiber from plant-based foods, but it's not something that body can absorb. This means fiber is not a nutrient and thus contains calories or vitamins. It is not like that. It helps our digestive system to process food and absorb the nutrients, right? So always remember that it is not a nutrient, it does not provide us with any vitamins, or it does not even contain calories, but it helps our digestive system to process the food and it also absorbs the nutrients. And it also helps to lower the blood cholesterol level, and it is also good for the diabetics because it will lower down the blood sugar level and it makes us feel full, and so it helps to control our appetite, so we will not be able to feel hungry every now and then. Alright, so I hope you are clear with the dietary fibers. Let's move on to the another very main constituent or main part of our diet, which is water. Yes, so what is water? Students, water is most important nutrient and it is most abundant substance in the human body. Means, how come we can say that it is most abundant substance? Because water makes up about 70 to 75% of our body weight of the average human being, of our body weight, right? So in any average human being, water makes about 70 to 75%. Right? So we can say that most foods which we consume have some amount of water in them. Like we get 20% of our daily fluid from the foods we eat, and the other 80% of fluid we need comes from the beverages we drink or the liquid foods which we consume or which we eat. So do you know, students, that water comprises about 3/4 of the human mass, and it is a major component in every cell of our body. Right? So you can just imagine that we have some amount of water, like fruits tend to have more water, whereas something dry like toast or a bread would have much less amount of water. So there are some foods which will have more amount of water, some food which will have less amount of water, right? So the best thing which we should consume or which we should take is the plain water. The plain water is considered as the best choice by many experts because it provides water without adding any calories, right? And it is very much helpful. We will see the importance of water even, right? So there are other healthy beverages, like they include 100% fruit juices, vegetable juices and low-fat milk. They contain some calories but also offer lots of vitamins and minerals. As you know that milk is so much very important for us, and even fruit juices and vegetable juices, right? So these are all kind of beverages, good beverages, which are very much helpful for us and it can make us healthy, right? But sugar sweetened soft drinks usually contain no nutritional value, like cold drinks, right? And they may have lots of calories that can lead to excess weight gain, which can also lead to obesity if not taken care of. So it can lead to excess weight gain if we regularly consume, because they contain more calories then our body burns the calories, right? So sugar sweetened soft drinks should be avoided because they contain no nutritional value. Instead, we should consume or we should go for healthy beverages like fruit juices, vegetable juices and even low-fat milk. So water is found in many food sources. It is found in soups, juices, bottled water and even more, right? So this is the introduction about water. Let's see some other important points about water which we should know. Yes, water is not considered as food. Students, always remember that water is a very important part of our diet, but it is not considered as food. It is not considered as the food group. right? But it is very much important in other ways, like it is necessary for proper bodily functions, but it does not nourish us with vital nutrients like proteins, fats or carbohydrates that provide calories for the energy which our body needs. Therefore, it is not listed among the nutritional food groups like vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, because those are the food groups, those contain the components of food which provide us with calories. But water does not provide us with calories, right? But then too it is very much helpful for us. So you see students, without water our body would stop working properly, right? So it holds a very much important place in our diet. Let's see somewhat importance of water, what it holds, why it holds so important place in our diet. Yes, water makes up more than half of our body weight, right, as we discussed, and a person cannot survive for more than a few days without it. For example, our blood, which contains water, a lot of water, and our blood is very much helpful to carry oxygen to all the cells of our body, right? As you know that plants give out oxygen, right, and we breathe in oxygen gas. So when we breathe in oxygen gas, there are other constituents of our, there are other parts of our body which needs oxygen. So how they will travel to whole part of our body? How can they travel? Because of blood. Because blood contains a lot of water and it carries oxygen with them to all the cells of our body. So we can see here that without oxygen, those tiny cells which need oxygen would die and our body would stop working. So indirectly we can say that water is very much helpful for us, right? So water makes up more than half of our body weight. Because of this only it is able to transport many substances, right? So we can say that water is a fluid that is a part of our immune system also, which helps to fight our illness, because we need water to digest our food and get rid of the waste too, right? There are many waste which have to be get ridden of, and because of water only we are able to digest our food and get rid of the waste. So we can say in and all that water is needed for digestive juices, even for the urine and also for the bowel movements, right? So we can say that water is also the main ingredient in perspiration called sweat. Whenever we exercise more or whenever we play more, water plays an important role, or water is the main ingredient in perspiration called as sweat. So it is an important part of the fluid in our body, as each cell depends upon water to function. As you know that our body does not get water only from drinking water, but any fluid which we drink contains water. But always remember that water and milk are the best choices, right? So we can say that water holds very much importance because there are other use also for water, like water helps to transport substances inside our body. It helps our body to absorb nutrients from food. It also helps to regulate our body temperature. It keeps it constant in the winter season as well as summer season. It is needed for various chemical reactions that take place always inside our body during digestion, excretion, etc. So we can say that our body loses a lot of water as sweat and urine, but some water also goes out of the body during respiration. Since water is so important, you might wonder if you have drinking water, if you are drinking enough. Do you think that you drink enough water? Because you lose water in the form of urine or in the form of sweat also, right? So there is no magic amount of water that we need to drink daily. But usually we like to drink something with meals and should definitely drink when we are thirsty, right? But when we warm up or we do exercise while exercising we will need more water. So we should be sure to drink some extra water when we are out in warm weather, like in summer season, especially while playing sports or exercising. Because if we are going to sports practice or a game or just working out or playing hard, we must drink water before, during and after playing. Right? So always remember that though we also get water from the food we eat, one should try and drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water every day as recommended by the experts. Right? So let's see some more things about water. Yes, when our body does not have enough water, it gets dehydrated. Now, what does this mean? Thus, we need to replenish the water, or else it can lead to a condition called as dehydration. Now, what does this mean? Dehydration means it is a condition of our body when body loses water. Right? A body loses water more than a person consumes or more than a person drinks. Right? So, because of this condition, because of our body loses much water and it needs more water, what happens? Our body can help us stay properly hydrated by regulating the amount of water in our body system. Right? So, by getting very usual treatment, we can help a patient suffering from dehydration. In short, we can say that dehydration can keep us from being as fast and as sharp as we would like to be. But a bad case of dehydration can make us sick. So we can say that our body should be hydrated, not dehydrated, right? So the body can hold on to water when we do not have enough, or get rid of it if we have too much of water. So too much of water is not even good for health, and even less amount of water is not good for health. Because if your pee has even been very light yellow, your body might have been getting rid of excess water. And when your pee is very dark yellow, it's holding on to water, so it's probably time to drink up. So these are some of the usual things which you should keep in mind, right? So you do not have to visit doctor every now and then. So we can help our body by drinking water when we feel thirsty, and drink extra water when it's warm out, right? So our body will be able to do all its wonderful, waterful activities and jobs, and we will feel great, right? So one more thing which we should keep in mind while a child is suffering from dehydration like situation. So let's see. Yes, children who suffer from vomiting or diarrhea lose the fluids from their body, right? And so it has to be replaced with a special drink called ORS. So just water cannot help it. So we have to provide those children with a special drink called as ORS, also known as oral rehydration solution. Right? It is a special kind of drink. It is specially designated for children who are dehydrated. Why? Why ORS? Why this solution is given? Because it contains just the right amount or the right combination of sugar and salts. And the right combination of sugar and salts in this condition, in dehydrated condition, helps the children's intestines to absorb what the body needs. And because of this, the children who are suffering from vomiting or diarrhea would be able to regain all such fluids in their body, and they will be in the normal condition very soon, right? So you might have heard about WHO ORS, the World Health Organization, right? It is ORS, it is this ORS, oral rehydration solution, right? So I hope you are clear with this major important constituent of our diet, not considered as food, but it is the water, which is the essential part of our diet.